The Hijra. A stranger called Ibn Gabs went to Mecca. He had a beautiful camel. One of the wise men of the city called Abu Jahil bought this camel. However, he was late in paying back his debt. Ibn Gabs was in a difficult situation and didn't know what to do. He didn't know anyone in the city either. The person who sold his camel to was one of the wise men of the city, so Ibn Gabs thought for a while and decided to visit the other wise men of the city. He said, "Dear Qurayshans, I'm a stranger and a traveler. Abu Jahil bought my camel, but he hasn't paid for it. Please help me in this matter." The Qurayshans began to mock him instead of helping him. They knew Abu Jahil was enemy of our Prophet. They told him to go and talk to our Prophet who was sitting in front of the Kaaba. "Go and see that man. He will pay you your money." Their intention was to mock the man. At the same time, they wanted to Abu Jahil to come face to face with our Prophet. None of them believed that Abu Jahil would get what was owed to him from our Prophet. The poor man went up to our Prophet and explained the situation. Our Prophet always helped those who were needy and protected people who were defenseless. He didn't refuse his request, and together they went to see Abu Jahil. The people who mocked the poor man wanted to find out what was happening. They sent one of them and said, "Follow them, and let's find out what he will do." Our Prophet went to Abu Jahil's house and forcefully knocked on his door. Abu Jahil was scared to death when he heard the knock on the door. In a shaking voice he asked, "Who is it?" Our Prophet answered, "I am Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. Come outside and let's talk." Abu Jahil went outside. His face was pale and his heart was beating like a drum. Our Prophet pointed at the stranger and said, "Give this man his money." It was as if the person standing at the door wasn't our Prophet's enemy Abu Jahil. He put his head down and said in a calm, soft voice, "All right," and then went back inside. A short while later he came back outside and gave the stranger his money. Our Prophet then left. The man that the group of people had sent watched from far away everything that had happened. He went and told his friends what happened, and they were all very surprised. How could it be possible for Abu Jahil, the man they thought they knew, to behave in such an obeying way? They couldn't make any sense of it at all. A little while later, they paid Abu Jahil a visit. They all said, "Shame on you! What has come over you? Why did you act like that?" Abu Jahil's heart was still beating like a drum from what happened. "It's all of you that should be ashamed of yourselves." Then he told them everything that had happened. "As soon as he knocked on my door, my heart started beating. I felt scared all of a sudden. Then when I went outside, I saw a crazy camel right on the top of his head. Its neck and teeth were very different from that of a normal camel. I have never seen a more horrifying thing in my whole life. If I tried to refuse his demand, the camel would have eaten me up." Our Prophet hadn't yet left Mecca. One day he went to Taif with Haris's son Zaid. Taif was one of the important places in Arabia at that time. Our Prophet wanted to show the people of this city the right way. If they were to become Muslims, Islam would become a very powerful religion. Our Prophet discussed this matter with the important people of a tribe that came from there. They called them to become Muslims. However, they refused his offer and also treated our Prophet very unkindly by mocking him. They provoked children and other people to start throwing stones at our Prophet. Our Prophet's holy feet were injured and bleeding. His adopted child, Zaid, shielded our Prophet with his own body. He forgot about his own life and tried to protect our Prophet. He tried to prevent the stones that the tribesmen were throwing from hitting our Prophet, but he got wounded too. After this cruel attack, our Prophet went to his house at the vinery. He rested there for a while and then headed back to Mecca with Zayd. He was constantly thinking and felt very sad about the attack. When they got close to Mecca, a cloud was shadowing them. He looked closely at the cloud and he could see Angel Gabriel. And Gabriel called to our Prophet and said, "Dear Muhammad, Allah knows what has been done to you. He has sent you the angel of the mountains. You can ask it for anything you want. It will punish those who have treated you so badly." At that point, the angel of mountains appeared to Muhammad. It said that it was ready to do anything he asked of it. "I can make this mountain fall on the polytheists, those who believed in and worshipped many gods, if you like." Our Prophet didn't accept this offer because he was a very kind and merciful man. He didn't want anyone to get hurt. All he wanted was for people to believe and pray to Allah. He wanted these people to find peace and happiness. He answered back to the angel of mountains, "No, I don't want anything like this to happen. My prayers are for those polytheists to become believers of Allah." Our Prophet felt more sadness for those who treated him badly and hurt him. He never wanted to curse and pray for bad things to happen to them because he was merciful. The number of Muslims was increasing each day, and this was making the polytheists get more and more angry. They were doing tortures and terrible things that were hard to imagine. Their goal was to stop Muslims find the way to Allah, weigh and frighten those who become Muslims. The Muslims endured these tortures because they believed in Allah. They endured all kinds of insults and pressure for the good of Islam. However, the unhuman actions of the polytheists became unbearable at times. Upon this, the Muslims were granted permission to migrate. The people of the Medina were ready a long time ago to welcome and embrace our Prophet and the people of Mecca. It was past midnight. Our Prophet's home was encircled by about 200 polytheists, and they all had swords. They were going to act out what they had decided to. They were planning to take our Prophet's holy life. All of them planned to attack him when he got out of the house, so that no one would know exactly who killed him. That was the trap they had planned. However, our Prophet found out about this plan. Angel Gabriel had informed our Prophet by the order of Allah. That night, Ali was sleeping in our Prophet's bed. The polytheists were not aware of this. They were outside our Prophet's home and waiting with their swords. At that moment, our Prophet came out of the house, grabbed a handful of soil and threw it at his enemies. Then he read out loud the first 8 verses of Surah Yasin. None of his enemies could see him from the soil, and our Prophet went straight through them and headed for Abu Bakr's house. After he got there, they quickly got ready to leave on their journey, prepared some food and put it in the shoulder bag. They then headed for Mountain Sever. It was only an hour away from Mecca. They reached their destination after a short time and decided to hide into a cave and remain there for a while. That cave was very quiet. Abu Bakr went inside first and cleaned and tidied the ground. There were many holes in the cave, so it was possible for harmful creatures to come and poison them. For this reason, Abu Bakr tore off his shirt and one by one covered up the holes. There was only one hole left, and he couldn't find anything to cover it up with. He then invited our Prophet in. Our beloved Prophet went inside and rested his holy head on Abu Bakr's knees and fell asleep. Abu Bakr put his foot over the hole that he could not cover up. Soon after, Abu Bakr felt an incredible pain in his foot. A snake had bitten him. However, he didn't take his foot away from the hole. He didn't move because he didn't want to wake our Prophet up. But he was in a lot of pain. A few drops of his tears fell onto our Prophet's cheek, and he suddenly woke up. He asked, "What's wrong with you, Abu Bakr?" Abu Bakr replied, "Something has bitten me, dear Prophet, but it's all right." Our Prophet put his blessed hand where the snake had bitten him and prayed. Allah cured the man at that instant, and he no longer felt pain. Right at that moment, a spider came by the order of Allah. It made a spider web at the entrance of the cave, and then a couple of pigeons made a nest in the same place. Allah had sent those animals to protect our Prophet. While our Prophet had arrived at the cave, the polytheists were still in front of his house. At one point, a man came up to them and said, "What are you waiting here for?" "We are waiting for Muhammad." The man shook his head and said, "Muhammad went through you and left a long time ago. Look at yourselves. You are all covered in soil." They then looked at each other. They were all covered from head to toe in soil. They were shocked. They looked inside the house and saw someone sleeping. "That's Muhammad. He's inside sleeping." They waited until it became light again. Then the morning came, and they saw Ali leave the house. They were all stunned. "Where is Muhammad?" they asked. Ali replied, "I don't know."